And yes, our channel is going to be talking about young people, teenagers, youth, the experiences they have as they journey through life. And I think one of the reasons why we wanted to talk about this was because we are, by privilege of our positions, we have interacted and taught a lot of teenagers. I mean, Gladys here is a teenage teacher. I have taught in. So I think you also teach secondary school, yes?
Yes, I do.
So you're always in the presence of young people. Now I've taught secondary school, I've taught universities, and I've been around young people. We have been around people, so we thought it was important to have these conversations. The concerns they've raised, the questions they've raised, to have us, talk about this and solve and create answers to some of this. So on that note, we are welcoming you to the first episode of Teens,
Youth, and I.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oftentimes teenagers are referred to as monsters. Some of them are seen as people who are unserious, and that's not true. It's just that they're trying to find their footing. They're trying to know what they want, what they want to do, and then they're trying to let go of certain attitudes and characters. Because the teenage stage is a stage where they grow from this childhood stage and getting to go into the adulthood stage. So that stage, at that point in their life, is a very challenging stage in their life, and it's not like they don't know what they want. It's not like they are too demanding. It's not like they are boring or they are trying to be alone. It's just that they're just trying to find their footing so that they can be better persons in life. And I just feel that we shouldn't see teenagers as people who are complicated, but then we should as well try to relate with them and understand from their perspective.
Yeah, so now we're going to start, and I have some questions to ask you because you are the elder experienced person. You have better experience than me.
And I feel you also have experience.
But you have been there before me now. I have to give honor to whom honor is due.
Okay.
So what do you say is like one of the most common concern or question in your interaction? Your interaction with young people, teenagers especially 13 to 19, because that age, only God.
Okay. I've had conversations with some teenagers, and we hear stuff like, my parents doesn't know about this, they don't know about that, they don't know about this. I'm like, why? You can't just talk to my parents. I can't talk to her. I can't explain things to her. That's because there's no relationship between the parent and the teenager. And it's a challenge because I feel at that stage that's where they need the parents the most. That's where the parents tell them that, okay, at this stage of your life, at that stage, most of them get into puberty. I'm not saying some don't get to puberty at age 19, but that teenage stage, some people are getting into their puberty stage, and they need their parents at that point to get to teach them some things about sex education, about life, about finance, and some other things, career and the likes. But you hear these people say, I can't talk to my parents about this, they won't agree with me, they don't buy my idea, something like that. So I feel one of the things is the relationship with the parents.
So you're saying that the major concern, I think I do agree with that. Honestly, I've also had that experience when I was growing up, and I think it's something it's not a unique problem. Parents I've often met parents who say, oh, I don't know how to reach out to my kid. I want to. That's why even parents that even are conscious of it. Some parents don't even care, to be honest. But for some parents are conscious, they want to reach out to their teenager because it's a child that they were playing with, growing up, carrying up and down. And suddenly he's growing and it's like, don't come to my room anyhow. Knock before you enter. Like, you can't touch my phone. You can't. They will not say directly, but of course, it's insinuated. And the child is like, the parents is wondering, there's now a barrier, right? They are speaking two different languages. And the child is saying, oh, my parents don't understand me. They don't understand this. And the child is like, parents like, oh, why are you always pressing your phone? And the child is like, I have to always press my phone. Like, it's so much confusion. And I think that that is very important because the parent, you're sort of like the first point of contact that the child has with the world. And so whatever it is that you build with them sort of reflects. There are people who are grown men, grown women who are still, because of traumas or things they experience as a child, they're still carrying it from there, and they are still dealing with things like that, even though they are grown and they have some of them who have kids of their own, and they are still dealing with those struggling with certain things that they experience with their parents. As a parent, you know that you're the first contact, and so however relationship you build with your child will also affect kind of relationship they build with outsiders.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of fathers and daughters, mothers and sons. The relationship you build with your daughter affects how she would expect men to treat her and how she will relate with men. Relationship a mother has with a son reflects on how we would treat a woman and how we expect women to treat him. So one thing that parents must understand is you need to start cultivating this relationship early. Don't wake up at when the child is 14 or 15. Now wake up from the ground and say, yeah, sit down, let's talk. Talk about what, please?
On that note, I think one of the things that actually affects relationship with parents and teenagers and children too is that parents tend to assume that their children are okay.
And pay your school fees. What else are you looking for in life?
Paying your school
You are
fees,
eating, you are wearing clothes.
Exactly.
You're wearing clothes. What is
But
remaining?
giving you everything you want. So once they just assume they're fine.
I'm
But then
sad
these people
because
go
you're pressing
out,
phone.
they meet people, and they tend to get certain things because the kind of persons they meet with, they are also coming from a family and they have different perspective about certain things, and then they get to hear things and hear certain things. They can't communicate with their parents. They have questions in their hearts that they want to ask. They have things bothering them. They're trying to balance their life and trying to do certain things, but then they can't communicate with their parents, and this thing makes them at times go into depression because I've heard teenagers say, I'm just depressed. I'm going through this. There's nobody to talk to. I don't know how to express myself. When I try to express myself to my parents, they don't seem to understand me. Nobody's getting me. I feel like I'm alone. And then from that depression stage, you start hearing something like suicide.
Yes.
And all of this boils down to relationship with the parents.
Exactly. It's a common thing. I can't even imagine having to like tell an average Nigerian or African parent that I'm depressed. Like, you're always pressing your phone. That's why. What would you mean? I can't even imagine their response. Like maybe these new age parents, maybe, but I can't imagine like the average. Just try to think about your father.
Okay.
Think about it just quickly. I just just think about approaching your father and saying that I'm really, I'm going through a lot of school, so I'm depressed. You ask you if that's what he said to the school to do.
That's true, because I remember, okay, there was a time I was going through something, and then I went to my mom, and I was like, I want to explain this thing to her. She was like, it's a simple thing, but when you're always on your phone, how will you get to know that this is what's supposed to be? And I'm like,
how did that work?
I just came to hear from you, but then I think that's one of the things teenagers are going through when they try to talk to their parents. Parents should at least try as much as possible to listen to your children. They have things going on inside of them. They have ideas they want to share, but because your relationship with them is not solid, you're just practically living at home.
Pushing them outside.
Your flatmates, they don't tend to be able to express their mind. They can't tell you their feeling. Some of them will even be crushing on somebody and then they were looking for who to talk to. They can't, and then it will now push them to start to explore rubbish.
Because like you said, you mentioned an important point. You said they have questions, they're thinking of stuff, they're experiencing stuff, and they're curious, right? It's just like a little child. You put something somewhere, they want to come and touch it. At this age also, they become very curious about certain things in their life. Why am I feeling this way? Why is my body changing like this? Why am I having these feelings and emotions and emotions? And then when it is not guided by experience and knowledge from elders, they will go and seek it outside. Yes. And outside will tell them. Outside is never shy to give answers. And there are a lot of things that I appreciate my parents for, that I was able to say no to. Not because I was wise or anything, but because we've had conversations, we've talked about this. And so when I went outside and the world was trying to tell me stuff, I was like, oh no. I've been there, done that. I know what the answer to this is. But when you don't, there's no place to come home to get those answers to. The girls, you're not wondering, how did this child spoil? I really trained him, but I trained him a lot. Yeah. I'm like, bro, you were just shouting and throwing cane. Like, there was nothing. There was nothing else beyond that.
Alright. On that, I remember I had a conversation with a teenager, and she was like, a guy told me that when I'm having cramps, it's because I'm still a virgin. That's why I'm having cramps. I'm like, what?
You didn't give him that slap.
It's not because of that. I now have to start explaining certain things, and the lady was like, he said the only time I would stop feeling pain is once I start having sex. Okay, is your parent aware? No, they're not aware. I can't tell them. When I want to talk about sex, my parents are like, you are not yet grown. So
you have to spoil finish.
You want to, what kind of life do you want to start living? So you want to start misbehaving and all that. No, parents should actually give their children.
Just imagine she never asked you that question.
They should give their children listening ears, so that they won't go and do otherwise, so they won't fall into the wrong hands. There are people out there who are there to give them advice.
There are plenty of
Like not I'm not saying the right kind of advice. They are there to just give them selfish advice, and then when their life is ruined, they now back off. So please, parents, it's important you have relationship.
Yes, I think we've addressed the issue of cultivating it early. We addressed assumption. We addressed listening, sort of creating that environment. I think one other thing we mentioned is to leave room for mistakes and leave room for a child to explore and be curious, right? Don't cut their curiosity short because you're impatient. And then another thing I think is important also is you're from different generations, right? And so sometimes there's that generational gap. Try as a parent to enter into the generation of your teenager. Understand what is trending to them. Understand what's the language speak that is in their generation that is important. Don't be so outdated that they feel like if I tell my parents, they will not understand. The child is coming to you, wants to talk about something about, oh, I want to go into the tech industry. I think I want to do UI UX design, and you're just lost and confused. Don't do that. Go and study medicine. and then the child, so next time the child has an idea or something like that, like, I beg, let me go and tell my parents. Try on. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to like be very involved and everything, but at least know some basic things. When I first started working remotely, before remote thing became an issue, a thing because of COVID-19. Before COVID-19, I started working remotely, and I had friends. My dad was more understanding because my parents were like, having a job and not going to office, they don't really understand the concepts. But they were a bit more understanding. But I had friends where the boy had to just leave home because the parents were like, you're waiting at home, your mates are working, you're always at home. And the guy's like, I'm working, but I'm actually working. But because of that, they did not take the time out to understand what that meant. And it's any more than what the parents are earning combined together. It was any more than that. But he doesn't understand the fact that he was at home, just sitting down. And then you push him to go outside. You don't know who's going to go and be with outside. So you not say, I'm going to office. If he's the office something to go, I'm going. And then he will leave, and you cannot tell what he's going to enter and get into. So yeah, these are some of the things I think. I think we also need to talk about like teenagers themselves, right? Because sometimes some parents are trying their best. There's nothing like, and teenagers can have stubborn head, and let's even say the truth. They can be very stubborn, and then your parents. And I think sometimes also boils down to the fact that they are growing, emotions and hormones are running. They are confused about a lot of things. So they just some teenagers will just close up because they're confused. Why is my body like this? Why am I thinking like that? So they close up. And so the parents are like, come and meet me. So what do you think teenagers can do sort of to step into that space and make things easier for their parents?
I feel when they start finding out that they're confused and they need advice or something, what they need to just do is open up to their parents. They shouldn't bottle things up. The more they bottle things inside of them, they tend to injure themselves, and then they tend to do things they're not supposed to do. Some of them tend to go to the internet to search for answers, but no, that's not the best place to. That's not the first and the best place to start searching for answers. The best place to search for answers, first get to meet your parents and talk to your parents about certain things you're feeling, certain things you're confused about. And I would also say on the part of parents, when the child, okay fine, I understand that some parents are trying and some teenagers lock up, but then there are certain times that even when the teenager walk up to the parents to say, okay, this is what I'm feeling, the parent is like, okay, this thing you're saying, you're not supposed to do it like this, do this one. Like it's like they're now trying to mandate the child to do certain things instead of saying, okay,
let's walk through the thought process together
and let's just see it. If it doesn't work out, then you can do this and do that. So parents shouldn't try to dictate for their children, even if they're trying to explain certain things to you and try to even open up. Their parents should also work on that aspect.
Yeah, I think one of the best ways to sort of make somebody do something is to persuade them to begin to think of it themselves. Like, so don't just say, okay, do this, right? This is why I think you should do this. This is what I think doing this, and then let them come to the realization of why this is an important thing for them to do, rather than say, do this because I'm older than you and I tell you what to do and you stay under my roof. Therefore, X plus Z is Z.
I think that's actually affected me to some extent. And while I was growing up, I loved watching movies. I loved acting. I started acting from my childhood, and I just felt okay. I'm going to go into the movie industry and I want to act. But then my parents were like, no, theater art, performing arts is forbidden in this house.
The woman told you.
Because if you go into the movie industry, those that are there, it seems like they don't have proper parenting. They don't have. I don't know. I got confused about their assumption
About the industry.
about it, and they're like, okay, there are other courses that are best for you, like law and all that. I ended up studying law, and I was not happy with it. But then I give thanks to God that it was hard though. It was hard. It was hard. I had to start over. That was after, I think I was in 300 level when I left, and I had to start over. Then I did something I knew that gave me joy. It wasn't easy, and it won't really happen to people like that. But what I'm saying is, they should also parents should give room for their children to get to do what they want to do. If they can only just guide them through. If they now see that, okay, this thing that this person is doing, I don't think it's really working out, then they can come up with their own ideas. But making your own what you feel is right, making it like the number one in their life.
They want to even rebel the more.
Yes.
I think finally for teenagers, so that we don't get we are fighting parents a lot. I think what teenagers need to do is that, so teenagers have a tendency to want to get lost in their own world. They have a selfish, there's no lie, they have a very selfish tendency to be like, oh, it's all me, I'm having problems, all about my life. And then you're not even concerned about things that happen in the home. Your parents come home stressed out, you don't even ask questions. Oh, how are you? How was work? You don't contribute anything, but then you want them to sort of care about you and also contribute. And I'm like, it's a two-way street. And I know that your parents and they should do more, but at the same time, as a young person, you're growing, you're becoming an adult, you need to start taking more responsibility, more ownership of where you stay. Or like, so don't just lock yourself in the room and press the phone all day and like, oh my, nobody cares about me in this house. I mean, you literally spend all your day in the room pressing your phone like nobody cares about me. So like, go out, reach out to your parents. Even if they don't reach out to you, try it first. If they now say, please leave me alone, and okay, I tried my best and they pursued me away.
Yes.
But at least you tried, you made effort. So I think we said a lot of things, raised a lot of important points like cultivating relationship early, both parties reaching out.
Stop
Don't make assumptions. Yeah, it's very risky, I tell you. Reaching out as much as you can. So what is one last advice you would give as an Agba experience?
You should also give advice.
What do you think? You can. We can't cover everything, but at least, what do you think is like something you can tell?
The
like
first
top of mind advice
step is parents reaching out to their children, as well as children reaching out to their parents. That's where the conversation thing will start. That's where the relationship thing will start. That's where the whole assumption thing is going to go fade away. And likes like that.
I think for me, what I'll tell you is that for a young person, there's no award called overall best in suffering alone, or overall best in suffering in silence. There's no way they're giving an award. So right, your problem is not unique. Your problem is not like special to you. Just try and reach out, speak up. When you speak up that you get answers, and you get answers to your questions. And if your parents are not, the best, are not providing that for you, you can look for another mentor, an elder that is sort of, in the best position. So yeah, that's most of what we have for today's episode. I know that you guys may have questions, some things you want to talk about. Yeah. Yeah, so for our next episode, what do you think? I think it's time that we bring in some young teenagers to sort of speak about this issue.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah, because you would to hear from their own perspective. I mean, we're already old. So yeah, we've come to the end of today's episode, and we thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, so feel free if you have any questions. I know some of you have questions, thoughts, stories that you want to share. Feel free to share in the comment section. And also,
please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. It's important to share so that others can learn.
Yes, very, very important.
It's
So stay tuned for our next episode of Teens, Youth, and I. Bye bye.